#POV. You're the analyst tracking a shadow government budget. You thought this was a normal budget reconciliation job. No sirens, no masked men, no dramatic hacking screens. Just a quiet office, fluorescent lights, and a spreadsheet with too many tabs. At 2:13 a.m., line item 43B stops making sense. A public health grant is routed through a logistics shell. The logistics shell pays a consulting entity that does not exist in any normal registry. The consulting entity then sends money to a security program that does not appear in any public hearing. You zoom out. It is not one error, it is a pattern. Every quarter, the same structure repeats with new names. You are not tracking a budget anymore, you are tracking a shadow system. The official budget is the story citizens are allowed to read. The real budget is the story power tells itself in private. By 7 a.m., you have two windows open. Left screen, legal appropriations with clean descriptions. Right screen, internal, transfer chains with coded labels and emergency exceptions. The numbers match at the top and bottom. But the middle is a maze designed to erase responsibility. Nobody steals from this system like in a movie. No one takes a bag of cash and runs. This is cleaner. A policy memo changes one definition. A procurement waiver expands one category. A temporary authority becomes permanent after nobody looks. That is all it takes. The money never disappears, it transforms. A surveillance contract becomes a public safety pilot. A political influence fund becomes strategic communication. A private intelligence line becomes external risk monitoring. Same money, new language. When language changes, oversight dies first. Your manager calls it administrative harmonization. You call it laundering through paperwork. At 10:42 a.m., your boss asks why your dashboard shows anomalies. You say there are timing mismatches between authorizations and disbursements. He says your role is variance reporting, not architecture analysis. You nod. He closes your ticket without reading your notes. At noon, you eat at your desk and review 5 years of committee summaries. In public, every official says the same words: transparency, compliance, accountability. In private, the transaction logs say something else: expedite, bypass, compartment. You discover 3 classes of money. Class 1 is performative money. It funds visible projects, ribbon cuttings, and metrics for press conferences. Class 2 is durable money. It funds agencies that survive elections by never being fully audited. Class 3 is shadow money. It moves through emergency clauses, subcontractor ladders, and cross-border procurement rules where no single office owns the full chain. Class 3 is where careers are made. Class 3 is where careers end. You are told to focus on Class 1. You keep finding Class 3. At 3 p.m., a senior advisor visits your floor for the first time in a year. He smiles like he knows every question before you ask it. He says budget systems are complicated and you should avoid drawing conclusions from partial visibility. He is right, technically. Partial visibility is the design. No one person sees the entire machine unless they are meant to. He leaves you with a warning that sounds like mentorship. People who confuse structure with scandal usually burn out quickly. You write that sentence in your notebook. It is the first honest sentence anyone has said all day. At 5:20 p.m., your access permissions change. Nothing dramatic, no lockout screen. Just one data table grayed out, then 2, then 6. The same evening, a compliance colleague messages you from a personal account. Stop querying historical cross-program settlements. No hello, no signature. Just that line. You ask why. Seen, no reply. You go home but do not sleep. You replay the flow in your head. Public budget to logistics shell. Logistics shell to intelligence vendor. Intelligence vendor to non-profit grant facility. Non-profit grant facility back into election year media buys labeled as civic education. By design, each step has legal cover. By design, each office can claim ignorance. By design, no single signature looks criminal. That is how modern shadow power survives. It does not rely on one illegal act. It relies on 1,000 legal fragments that combine into something no voter approved. Day 2 starts with a meeting invite. Process improvement workshop. 7 people join, none of them work in process improvement. One is legal, one is communications. One is from a unit that officially does not interface with your team. You are asked to explain why your anomaly thresholds were recalibrated. You explain they were not. The system recalibrated after a rule package was pushed overnight. Legal says the rule package was authorized. Communications asks if your findings can be misread publicly. The unofficial unit says nothing and takes notes. You understand the meeting is not about truth. It is about narrative containment. In that moment, you stop being an analyst and become a risk object. A risk object is not a person. It is a variable that must be controlled. That afternoon, your calendar fills with mandatory trainings. Your high-priority queries are auto-routed to approval queues. Your direct reports are reassigned temporary supervisors. No one accuses you. No one argues with you. The system simply reduces your operational velocity until your concern expires. That is institutional power at its most refined. No threats, no scandal, only friction. You make a private copy of your timeline notes. Not raw data, no classified exports, only process observations, dates, role titles, and policy switches. You document the mechanism, not the secrets. Because the mechanism is the secret. You notice 5 recurring techniques. Technique 1, semantic fog, unpopular operations, are renamed as safety, resilience, modernization, or emergency continuity. Technique 2, budget fragmentation. One operation is split across 6 departments, so no committee sees full cost. Technique 3, outsourced deniability. Sensitive execution is pushed to contractors with opaque subcontractor chains. Technique 4, temporal hiding. Large commitments are broken into many small renewals below headline thresholds. Technique 5, institutional amnesia. Every team rotates just enough that accountability never accumulates. None of these techniques look exciting in a movie. All of them are devastating in reality. At week 3, you receive your performance review early. Technically strong, strategically misaligned. You ask what strategically misaligned means. Your manager says, you optimize for factual completeness in a system optimized for continuity. Continuity of what? He changes topic. You realize everyone here speaks in nouns that hide verbs. Security means control. Alignment means silence. Continuity means self-protection. Budget means power. You are not naive. You know governments need confidential programs. You know threat environments are real. You know some secrecy protects people. This is not that. This is secrecy protecting itself. That distinction is the line no dashboard can draw for you, only conscience can. At month 2, you are offered a transfer, higher pay, lower visibility, no direct budget oversight. Your mentor says take it. You can't fix architecture from the basement. Maybe she is right. Maybe survival is the only strategy that scales. But before you decide, one final file appears in your queue. Subject, Retrospective Integrity Review. It contains a summary chart that almost mirrors your original anomaly map. Same nodes, same transfer cadence, same hidden budget geometry. But the conclusion says, no material irregularities detected. You stare at that sentence for a long time. You understand what this machine actually does. It does not erase evidence. It absorbs evidence and reclassifies it as normal. That is stronger than destruction. Destruction leaves smoke. Normalization leaves policy. You close your laptop at 1:07 a.m. The city outside is quiet. Somewhere, decisions are being funded by line items that look harmless in public. Somewhere, a committee will approve next year's budget using words drafted by the same system it is supposed to supervise. Somewhere, another analyst is opening their first spreadsheet and thinking, this is just accounting. If you are that analyst, remember this. The first lie in shadow power is never a number. It is a label. The second lie is never theft. It is procedure. The third lie is never chaos. It is order that serves itself. You can survive this machine by becoming useful to it. Or you can keep asking the one question it hates most. Not where did the money go? Who needed it to move this way? That question does not make you powerful. It makes you visible. And in systems built on controlled visibility, being visible is the most dangerous thing you can be.